He awoke to sirens, not the trumpets of heaven or the clangor of battle, but shattering metallic wails that tore through the night like the screams of the damned. His lungs drew in smoke and rain, his armor cold as winter bone, and when he lifted his head from the wet asphalt, a neon cross flickered overhead, red on black, bleeding light like an open wound. His name had not been spoken in centuries. Sir Alaric de Vaux, Knight of the Temple. The last thing he remembered was fire, the pyres of his brothers in 1307, the storming of their commandery, and his hands gripping a relic that pulsed like living light. In one breath he had called upon God to protect them. In the next, time itself had answered. Now, centuries later, he rose among lifeless machines that screamed and hissed beneath endless towers of glass. His sword was gone, his shield shattered, and beneath his gauntleted hands, the world pulsed with energy unfamiliar, alive, godless, and restless. He wandered the streets until dawn, silent and horrified, as moving torches on wheels flashed their lights and voices hummed from invisible mouths. Every shadow bore his reflection, a ghost wrapped in rusted steel, a man too far from his God. By morning, people stared, then laughed, thinking him a costumed wanderer, a relic pretending at faith. But then he saw her. She couldn't have been older than 12, standing barefoot in a back alley, a bruise blossoming beneath one eye, clutching a torn blanket as two men closed in. Her breath came in silent sobs. Alaric moved before he even thought, instinct and oath guiding his hand. The first man fell with a cry, blade flashing once. No, not a blade, just a broken metal rod he'd found nearby. The second ran, slipping in puddles that smelled of oil. The girl blinked up at him, eyes wide, not with fear but confusion. "Are you real?" she whispered. For the first time in 700 years, Alaric smiled, faint, uncertain. "As real as the God who sent me," he answered, his voice a trembling echo of oaths long dead. He draped his tattered mantle around her shoulders, helping her stand. The red cross on white fabric seemed to glow faintly, catching the rising sun between skyscrapers. He took her to a 24-hour diner, a temple of glass and chrome where saints were replaced by tired faces behind counters. He watched her eat, remembering the children who begged for bread outside Jerusalem's gates. There was a warmth to her gaze that quieted the howl in his chest. Perhaps this world had lost its faith, but not its innocence. After she finished, she asked softly, "Why did you help me?" "Why?" The question pierced him, so simple yet so old. "Because it is what I was made to do," he said. "A knight defends the innocent, always." She looked down at her hands, tracing the frayed edge of his cloak. "You shouldn't have," she said, almost inaudibly. "You don't know who my father is." He furrowed his brow. "And who is he?" She turned her eyes to him, black, hollow, endless, far older than a child's should ever be. "He's the one who made you sleep." The diner lights flickered, the plates rattled. Outside, the wind began to hum with a frequency that curdled his blood. He felt the same pressure he had felt the night the Templars burned, that otherworldly pull, the air thick with judgment. Then he realized she wasn't frightened of the men in the alley. She was frightened of herself. He stood, reaching for her hand, but she recoiled as if remembering something. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice trembling. "They said letting you wake would break everything. That your vow still binds time." "Child," he whispered, "what are you saying?" But before she could speak, the wall shuddered, light spilling from under the door like molten glass. Shadows crawled upward, twisting like tendrils. The girl grabbed his hand and screamed, "Run!" They fled into the rain as the air turned electric, neon bleeding into darkness. Behind them, the diner was gone, replaced by drifting dust and silence. Alaric's memories flooded with fragments, men chanting in firelight, relics humming beneath the earth, a voice whispering, "Not yet." The relic hadn't sent him forward by accident. It had sealed him away, a night bound to awaken when the world had forgotten its light. They reached a subway tunnel, cold, drenched, echoing. There she stopped, panting pale. "They'll come for me now," she said. "He'll know I spoke to you." "Who?" he pressed. "My father," she whispered again. "The one your God cast out." Her eyes glimmered, not human anymore. A faint red tint, like the reflection of the cross on his mantle. She touched his cheek with a trembling hand. "You were supposed to stay gone." You were mercy once, Alaric, but mercy creates imbalance. That's why they burned you. The ground shook. Somewhere above, a deep hum, ancient, mechanical, rolled across the sky. He could feel truth dawning in shards. This was no dream nor punishment. This was the moment his oath had been preserved for. To awaken when evil no longer wore horns but smiles, when innocence itself became bait. I saved you, he said quietly, his voice breaking. Because you were pure. She shook her head, tears falling like rain through shadow. No, Sir Alaric, you saved me because you're kind. But I'm the reason your brothers died. Then the darkness behind her moved. Shapes, faceless. Tall, vibrating between flesh and light. Stepped from the void, their outlines flickering like smoke inside glass. Somewhere deep in memory, he remembered their echo. The same presence that had watched as the Templar stronghold burned. The same voices that whispered through the relic's glow. He drew the rod again, holding it like Excalibur. Then I will fall again, he said, but not in vain. The girl raised her eyes, still weeping, and whispered, Forgive me. The void struck. Light and silence merged into one breathless instant. When Alaric opened his eyes again, he lay on the same wet pavement where he had awoken, no longer in armor, but in simple clothes. The city hummed around him. Ordinary, indifferent. The blanket lay at his side. Her scent, faint lilac and ashes, still lingered. He stood slowly, staring up at the same neon cross. This time it didn't flicker. It burned steady, red and calm. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed once, then faded. He whispered a prayer that no longer had words, and for the first time in 700 years, Sir Alaric de Vaux, last knight of the temple, wept because the girl he saved had not been human. And yet, he mourned her as if she were the only soul left in the world.